What is up, guys? Politics Gaming here, and today we're doing a brand new series. This is going to be my very first series on Geopolitical Simulator 5, and today we're going to be starting off as the Commonwealth of Australia. I did hold a poll not too long ago, basically saying that in this series I wanted to know whether you guys wanted to see realistic political parties. This is going to be a trial run. I just wanted to, there was a kind of like a bug that I was running into where I'm trying to, you can actually change the names of the people and parties and everything like that on a spreadsheet, and I wasn't able to figure it out yet, but I really wanted to get this series out and started. So this is going to be kind of like a trial one, episode 0, and then if you guys like it enough, then I'll go ahead and move forward with that realistic political party. So like the next episode after this would be somewhat of a soft reset. But more so, I just wanted to see what we could do for this series and then see where we could get the ball rolling. But guys, leave a like, subscribe to the channel if you are new. If you guys want to see more content like this, hit that bell notification icon so you don't miss anything whenever I do make it. And then let's go ahead forward with the Commonwealth of Australia. So the Commonwealth of Australia, or Australia as any normal person would call it, is a huge continent in the southern part of the world. It is the southernmost country, and it is the only country in the world which is its own continent. So we're not only just playing as a country, we are literally a continent of our own. So, you know, we have Africa, we have Eurasia or Europe, and then Asia. We have North America, South America, and without talking too much about geography, let's go ahead and get into it. Let's go ahead and assess our situation. So this is our budget. We are spending $198 billion on Social Security, $55 billion on defense, $31 billion on debt reimbursement, $24 billion on education, $16 billion on research, $16 billion on housing, health is $13 billion, justice $13 billion, and then transport is $11 billion. We do plan to expand our defense budget. I would say we're probably going to add about $50 billion to our defense budget, and debt reimbursement, obviously we want to lower this while increasing our spending elsewhere. We are going to be focusing on education and research. Housing we are going to be focusing on, and as well as improving our healthcare. However, we do have a pretty good educational and healthcare system, but I do want to expand where we are in terms of education. So education, we are actually among the highest in the world in terms of higher education students, but this is always going to be better if we get this higher. We have 3.27% of the population of Australia that are higher education. I would like to see that get to 5 to 10%. Higher education students, we have 865,000. Immediately, what we could do to start to rectify this situation, we can start to build a couple dozen universities. These are going to be the quickest way, and as soon as you see these start to get built and completed, you can actually see them increase the amount of higher education students you have. We'll go ahead and devote about $2 billion to education here, and then let's go ahead and see. Okay, so we do see an immediate change there. Let's go over to this and we will look. So ironically, we have a couple of things that we could do. Real estate is one of the more controversial things about Australia, is that Australia has a hilariously overdeveloped, and probably not overdeveloped is the best word to say, but more so Australia has a very tight real estate market. That's actually one of the biggest political issues in Australia. What we could do, this is going to be the best way that we can make money as Australia. We could increase the real estate tax. It's a tax that is payable annually by property owners. Let's go ahead and increase our real estate tax to $10. And let's start off this episode with a large tax reform. We're going to call this the Deficit Reduction Act. And then we're going to hit that. $27 billion is going to be our starting part here. And that doesn't immediately affect the deficit. 27 billion, so we could actually lower our commitments, our taxes on companies. So we could save, we have 27 billion to work with. So 27, 26, 25, 24, 23 billion. If we lower it to 28%, we are going to be, are we labor here? Are we labor? Yeah, we are labor. So we do have to focus on winning the election next year. That is going to be coming up in the next year or so. Let's go ahead and lower some company taxes. We could also lower the petrol tax. It applies to any product that is either meant to be used for, which already has been used as or is already sold as fuel or fuel additive for motors. It also applies to some hydrocarbons meant for heating. Note that in real-world France, this tax forms a part of the carbon tax. In-game, the amount of tax on petroleum and energy products and its revenue are not part of the carbon tax. Could we lower this to 25 cents per liter? That would cost about $3 billion. Let's go ahead and add that to the tax reform as well, get our motorists to like us. But in reference, in advance of this, trying to get more money into our economy, we will increase the tax on industrial pollution. We are, lowering the tax on petroleum, which could encourage pollution. So we're going to hit them back and make sure that we're counteracting any pollution increases here. So we'll go ahead and add that. Production tax is going to be the, I can't remember the name of it in the previous game, but basically this is like the self-employed occupation tax, but they call it the production tax now. It's not as lucrative in the United States now, which is kind of frustrating, but maybe we could go ahead and increase that to 2.25%. Nope, that will immediately kill our reform. Let's go over here. Could we go for a higher wealth tax? We could. I do want to start encouraging fairer taxes in our nation. Let's go ahead and hit him with that. Tax investigation is regular and repressive, so we're not going to change that. Carbon tax we could increase as well. Just trying to make sure that our pollution is taken care of. And internet access. Wine tax, could we? I mean, that's not too, unless we want to start fighting drunk people. We could increase the tax on use of plastic packaging. I will hold that off for a later day. We could do a deforestation tax, not too much that it could bring into the economy. And we also need to assess our economy before we really start to do anything that'll affect it. The only thing I really would focus on probably is the tax on salt and animal fats in the agri-food sector. So this is basically a VAT tax that is added on top of any VAT that you actually have. And this focuses on the consumption of foods that are judged to be unhealthy. And is likely to increase or encourage cardiovascular diseases and obesity. So we could actually get a pretty decent amount off of the agri-food sector tax, $2.2 billion. What if we do that to 2%? Let's go ahead and add that. That'll be another $4.5 billion. We have the liquor tax. Go over here. What about a tobacco tax? Do we have that? Tobacco tax? Yes, we do. Okay, let's go ahead and increase this to 80%. Could we get that? No, what about 75%? 60%. Yeah, I'll go ahead and go for that. Let's see where we're at right now. National Assembly 63.9%, and the Senate is at 56.8%. So not as strong in the Senate, but we should be able to pass it if we just kind of leave it where it's at now. Is that actually? I think that's the actual National Assembly or the Parliament in Canberra. And for those who don't know, I know a lot of people are just like, well, what's the capital of Australia? It's actually not Sydney and it's not Melbourne. It's actually in between. Fun fact about Canberra is that Sydney and Melbourne were actually basically fighting over who was going to be the capital of the newly formed federation. And whenever they were arguing, it basically came down to a mediator, and that mediator basically said, okay, we'll just build a city right in between it, and that way we don't have to, have political infighting between Melbourne and Sydney. So they built Canberra, and it was built right in between Sydney and Melbourne. What are our plans for Australia here? So Australia is basically a pretty, um, I wouldn't say diverse country. So demographically, mostly white. Um, Whenever it comes to the environment, we do have a lot of rainforest, grasslands over in the coastal regions, but then right in the center is the Australian outback. This is going to be where, classic Australia, whenever you think of Australia, you're going to look at this and this is what you're looking at. You're thinking about the deserts where you're just in the middle of the continent and you have no idea where you are. Kangaroo, koala, just everything's trying to kill you. This is exactly where you would be, except in the coastal regions. Normally that's where a lot of the big spiders are. National economy, whenever it comes to this, building, housing, and roadway is going to be our top national main production in terms of national sales. We are very resource rich, so whenever it comes to resources, we're very dependent on non-renewable resources, and notoriously Australia actually depends on coal. They depend on rare earth minerals, iron. It's basically, in the research that I've done on Australia is basically not supposed to exist, because Australia is a economy that is supposed to be growing, but they have a huge service industry sector, and their real estate market kind of like is a little finicky, and a lot of economists are kind of worried that Australia is going to kind of collapse. Not really, I wouldn't say collapse, but it's more so like it's an unsustainable economy, but it still works. But then at some point, they have to make a change before, 100 years from now, then they're going to be, classic Australia, not developed at all. I wouldn't say, you go from a huge developed country all the way to, primitive outback. Like, I mean, we could see, it's actually very interesting to see what the, what could happen to Australia in 100 years. Whenever it comes to the economy, we are going to be developing our sectors. We will focus on certain industrial sectors. I would say we could focus on aeronautical construction. We're pretty advanced enough to where we could develop these sectors without any issues. If you are, for example, if we were playing as Tanzania or Kenya or Ethiopia, we actually would have to spend about 5 to 10 years developing our educational sector before we're able to develop our industrial sector. We have enough know-how in our country to develop it, so we can start focusing on this. I would say let's go ahead and start a subsidy here. Let's do $100 million and hit them with that. Automobile construction, who do we have here? And so again, this is the first series that I am playing as. So in the new series, we will be interacting with companies. We do have Toyota, we have Mercedes-Benz, BMW, Honda, H&Y. Is this, would this be, I think this would be Hyundai. Tesla is based in Australia. This one, I can't... Okay, it's a Chinese company, but I don't know the name of it. We have Kia. Kia is right here, so we have them based in the country. And most of these, it looks like we don't have our own national company that is able to receive domestic subsidies, so we're going to be giving a lot of these subsidies to foreign companies. We actually could... nationalize sectors in the game now, which is really interesting. So basically, if we wanted to say, okay, we're going to nationalize the Toyota sector or the Toyota subsidiary in Australia, we could come over here, we could select it, and then we could hit confirm. We go over to say state involvement, or we can completely take control of the industry, and then it would, make a cost for us. But it's actually really interesting because instead of, going around with state involvement, we could actually go and nationalize individual companies rather than just saying, oh, we're partially nationalizing the sector or we're fully nationalizing the sector. We could actually just fully nationalize or partially nationalize certain companies. But the downside of that is actually, if you do so, you hurt your relations with the country where that company is based. So if I start to say that I'm going to nationalize the Toyota sector, Toyota subsidiary in Australia, that actually hurts my domestic or international relations with Japan. Same thing if I do Kia or Hyundai. It hurts the same thing with South Korea. I probably wouldn't mind, nationalizing a couple of Chinese industries, as we do not particularly care about our domestic or international relations with China. We do not plan on growing closer. Australia is kind of in the middle because they're basically fighting between being closer to the US and fighting a very powerful economy that is right next to them. Australia is kind of like right in the middle between two superpowers, and that's where we're at, is that we have to pick and choose who we will grow to, and we're going to be on the safe side militarily and economically. We're going to be signing free trade agreements, growing closer with the United States and our Western allies in the region. South Korea, Japan, and Taiwan will be to name a few. We're going to be importing resources from Indonesia, signing a reciprocal agreement with them to make sure that they are able to provide us the raw materials that we are short on, even though we produce so much raw materials ourselves. Stock market is actually very it makes a lot of sense now. So basically, whenever your companies are doing really good, your stock market will do good, and then if they're doing bad, then it'll dip. So the stock market is actually pretty important to watch, both in the United States and in your own country. It does still do the same thing where, in smaller countries, it'll be like, 3 million is your stock price. I'm not too sure why it does that. Difficulties in accommodations. We do have a immigration situation, and what I might want to worry about, and I played as Australia once in Geopolitical Simulator 4. In Geopolitical Simulator 4, we actually were dealing with a huge influx of Chinese immigrants, and I'm gonna watch for the same thing if it happens in this series, where we could see a gigantic increase. I mean, whenever I say gigantic, watch where we're at in terms of immigration, because in immigration, we have 85,000 illegal immigrants that live in the country. So, we are not going to, deport them. We're not going to be, too strict whenever it comes to immigration. We're not going to, open the whole country up, open borders, anything like, well, I won't say that, because I think what we're going to do is we are going to go for, I'll say, selective and controlled whenever it comes to regularization and naturalization. Regularization, we're going to have soft. Naturalization is already soft. So both of these are actually where we want it. I think we could keep this family unification at conditional, or we could simplify it and expand it to siblings and families. I will say that we're going to keep that where it is now, but we could loosen our immigration system to selective and controlled, but without quotas. If we keep it with quotas, that actually institutes a economic immigration quota. So basically, this is a quota set by the number of work permits issued annually to immigrants who come to work in the country. These quotas sometimes involve a point system that is set according to various criteria, which is age, family situation, profession, education level, or knowledge of the language. Certain countries apply a classification system on the country of origin, such as the green card in the United States. A quota system can also have the unintended effect of encouraging illegal immigration if these quotas are too restrictive compared to migratory realities. At the certain point, depending on the country's appeal, the raising of quotas becomes ineffective. So we are at 45,000, which I really wish that there was a way that we could increase this. I mean, we could say 500,000, a million. I'm not too sure why they kind of cap it off like that, even though our immigration, that's China. I was just like, why is our immigration rate so low? Yeah, 6.4 out of 1,000. Projected annual flow, 254,000. Annual flow of outgoing, 85,000. Immigrants in the country. Number of immigrants in the country as percentage of population, 28%. We have 28% of our, how much? We have 26 million people in our country. And we have 7 million immigrants, 7 million in the country that are here. Illegal immigrants, 85,000. So it's not even an illegal immigrant problem. It's a legal immigrant, quote, problem. Immigration per country, most of them are actually coming in from the UK. We have India as a close second, and then China as a third. Watch this. We're gonna start this off at 41,500. Watch. I'm pretty sure if they didn't change it, that is gonna explode, because there are so many illegal immigrants that come in from China that it's genuinely hilarious about how, it basically turns into a national emergency. And if it comes to that point, I mean, we could close the borders. There's going to be some type of action we're going to have to take. But we're not going to do that now. We're going to wait for that situation to arise. And if it does, we'll go ahead and start to focus on that especially. And we do have a message right here. Our electricity production capacity is insufficient. Our production capacity in the electricity sector falls short of our current consumption. We could begin constructing new production centers and thus spread our wings. According to our figures, this will improve our commercial balance and increase our GDP. So what I actually found out is that in energy, apparently there's no bug whenever it comes to electricity deficit. So the electricity deficit is actually at 0 by default. But what you want to focus on is these numbers right here. So we have production capacity plus our production. We have our production plus our import-export balance. Positive here. If you saw a negative, it would be our import balance. Our export would be right here. So it's going to be this plus this, and then you get to the actual capacity, which then comes around to national electricity demand. So we have right here, we have 280 plus 193. This comes out to 473. We are at 472. Basically, this means that we are about equal whenever it comes to our electricity deficit. So that's not good, because that means that we have to start increasing our electricity production pretty quickly. And I'm going to go ahead and start by focusing on some fossil energy plants. This will get us 150 terawatts in about 12 months. We have 90,000 people that we could throw at this in 4 months for $8 billion. That is very expensive. But we did just pass a tax reform, so we could possibly afford it. $20 billion over the next 5 years. 67,000 people in 5 months. Let's go ahead and hit them with that. And then I will also go ahead and focus on building a nuclear reactor. Well, I'll go ahead and focus on energy here. So fossil energy, we'll get that done in 5 months. Australia is actually controversial whenever it comes to nuclear power, so we're probably going to hold off on that for about a year, maybe try to develop our own industry whenever it comes to that, instead of relying on buying reactors from foreign countries. Prime Minister, your decision to develop our power grid is wise. It'll boost our production capacity. As our country is an electricity importer, our national production will immediately increase thanks to these new power plants, reducing our imports and dependence on foreign sources. This production will indeed be prioritized for our citizens. We could also increase our imports from Saudi Arabia, as we are going to be increasing our fossil energy production or consumption here. So obviously our Australia Green Coalition Secretary General did not like that decision. But what are our other plans for this series? GDP, we're going to go for about $2 trillion in the short term. I'd say we probably could get there by 2030. Industrial sector, develop especially the aeronautical construction. So we have no production here. Let's go ahead and do exonerate. Do we have any production here? No, but we have profits. We have $9 million in profits for some reason. We could develop the steel sector. Let's go ahead and throw in $100 million here. Who do we have? BS Corp. So it's our own steel company here. $639 in their share price. And cool feature that's coming up is that we have a personal wealth feature that is coming. for the game in the 2025 edition. Basically, I think what could happen, I need to confirm this with Pericles, but basically I think we could also share trade stock as the head of state and be able to basically manage our own net worth, and we can actually trade items, everything like that. So it's going to be very interesting to see what we can do. We've only gone about 25 days in this so far, so usually my first episodes I really focus on a lot of domestic stuff. I don't really focus, on spending time. I spend a lot of time, focusing on getting everything together, and then we go from there. National Festival, Francis, beneficial, ecology. So let's go ahead, and I'm gonna go ahead and play a little bit. I'll probably get to about, we're gonna go ahead and get to the end of the quarter, and then that'll be the end of the episode. Kind of like, I think that's what we did with Mexico, where we did a quarter by quarter. So I'll go ahead and play forward a little bit, and if anything comes up, I'll go ahead and come back. All right, and we are back. We are in March 2024. We have happiness declines in Australia and the love of life. Basically talking about the gross national happiness index, which, I mean, we'll probably look at. We're not too worried about that index, honestly. But what we do have a meeting with the President of the United States. We have Tom Baden, former President Baden, if you were in the real world. We're going to go ahead and offer him a coffee and then a glass of champagne, and then tell him that we love our country, but then he hates us. Let's go ahead and sign a security pact with him. Obviously, he will accept this, and then we are going to go ahead and provide him air and sea rights over our territory. We're not going to give him any land authorization yet. I don't even know if I were to do so. Like, if he were to be like, okay, yeah, I'm going to build a military base there, which I would like, because it would be cool if they were able to provide military assistance, especially because they're so far away. Usually that's what I like to do. I always like to build military bases in Australia, because it's a pretty strategic area. I mean, like, we have the United States all the way up here, and then they could kind of, control the sea lanes over in Indonesia. Indonesia and the US are pretty close. So maybe, I mean, at some point, I mean, we could give them, land rights in one base and see what they do. Fight against global warming. Let's go ahead and provide a sales contract. Let's go over here. Let's go over to coal, and then let's see what we have. So we have coal, and we could give it to them. The only thing is that we're wondering whether we can get a good price off of selling them such a product. Let's go ahead and give them, how much do they want? Let's do 25 million tons of or tow of coal, and at $290. While the quantity of this good is you wish to sell is way too much for US, so could we do less? What about uranium? Could we sell them uranium consumption? No, they have enough. Bauxite. I know Australia has bauxite. Let's do 64 million tons is 22. Let's do 7.5 million tons here. And then, 55. Purchase price is too much. All right, I'm gonna go back and forth with the U.S. during these trade negotiations, and I'll see you guys in a minute. All right, went ahead and got that signed for them, so we're getting $446 million. Kind of a bad contract because this is well below our purchase price, or our sale price, $43.32, and the US's was $42.36. We are getting a net price of $36.97. And so that netted us a total amount of $446 million in this contract. So we're going to see what our trade minister says about that, but we're going to go ahead and keep it. Biotechnology, diamond, copper. What about nickel? We have nickel. Yeah, we have enough nickel. What about, how much could we sell them? 50,000. I always kind of like lowball them, and then we just kind of see where they're at. 31,000. We're probably not going to get a lot of good stuff from here. Sale price 31,000. There has to be a way that we could lower these prices. That way we're at least, you know, profiting off of it. I think that has something to do with the interest rates, but I'm not too sure. So if you guys have any trade ideas in the comments down below, let me know. We're going to go ahead and try to get a equal $1.7 billion off of this. And 23,000, very low balling here. We're actually going to have to, let's go to 26,000, 2.8 billion, 26,000, 25,000, 25,000, 24, 5, 23, and it's like they're lowering it every single time. 2.5. Okay, so they accepted that. And this is a sales contract. And let's go over to sales. And then what about cereals? How much do we have here? So they have production. They have enough. Oh yeah, we have enough that we could actually sell. Let's do, we could do 20 million tons. We could do 20 million tons here. 5.98 billion. The US actually has a higher sale price here, so we could actually might be able to profit just a tiny bit more. 275, let's go ahead and hit him with that. 220, 275. Let's do 275, 262. And 34 million tons is what they're asking for. $10.6 billion. 222. So we did 262. Let's do 250 even. And then 220. They're not budging on 222. 240. $3 below our price. And yep, they accepted it. So not doing too good here. We might have to cancel some of these contracts because it's going to be more expensive to continue these contracts rather than, you know, finding a different buyer. We could also, it also could be tariffs that could be. Actually, I haven't even been looking at the tariff costs. What about aluminum? We're going to look at tariffs here. Aluminum, they have enough. Copper. Lead. You have lead. Yeah. I mean, we could do that. 100,000 tons could work. $14 million in custom duties. What about steel? I wouldn't say the tariffs are that much, but I mean, we could go for a free trade agreement with the United States. 15 million to 119. Could we sell $1 million to them? $1.2 billion. Let's do 1,200. Send 800. 11, 10, 1,001. Let's do 50, 1,050, $15.8 billion. Oh yeah, damn, they want us to give them all of our production. Now we're gonna go ahead and refuse that for now. Let's see if I can go for one more agreement here, and then if not, then we'll just go ahead and end these negotiations. Pharmaceuticals, 1.2 to 1.7. They have barely enough. Rare earth oxides, 18,000. They have enough. Missiles, iron. I am actually going to buy some weapons from them during this meeting, so we're not going to go yet. Fuel. Oil. I mean, we have a little bit of oil actually. Production, they have enough. Weird. Natural gas, they have enough. Okay, so let's go ahead and do a purchasing contract here, and then let's go over to aeronautic, anti-missile battery. Let's do 20 anti-missile batteries. I mean, we're not too much under threat, so we're going to do a minor military buildup, $2.6 billion, 268, 2.67, not too bad. Not too bad. Purchasing contract. Let's hit him with infantry armaments, 400,000. We're just gonna max it out. Max it out, $1.01 billion. Whatever price they ask for, this has been signed, so we have 400,000 on the way. The reason we're buying infantry armaments is because we want to be able to recruit as many people as possible. I do want to expand our military to at least a 300 to 500,000 standing army force. And cannons, let's do 300. Purchasing, and helicopters, let's do 100. And then some jets. Could actually also do some nuclear submarines. Let's do 5. $46 billion. Wonder what that'll do. Because we actually are, because the United States in real life is actually selling nuclear submarines to Australia. Northern Territory, Queensland, New South Wales, Mosman. New South Wales. $46 billion. Yeah, we'll go ahead and buy them. Yo, they actually sold it to us. Okay, good. Sales, purchase. I'm gonna try to fight for a coal contract with them because I want to be able to at least stave off some of the cost that we're eating here. 500 jets could we go for? What about 100? $114 billion. We'll hold off on the jets for now. All right, that'll be it for the United States meeting. And so we just bought some weapons, some good weapons from them. And let's see what that does to our popularity. 0.3 increase, and so that is because of our militarism for the weapons that we bought. Security, people like it. Some people don't like the trade negotiations that we reached. People really like the national defense posture we're making, but the public finances does hurt us. So we did increase our budget deficit by nearly 1%, and that is because of all the interest that we are accruing because of the purchases that we were making. So let's go over to diplomacy. Let's go over here and let's look at the assessments. We have 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 that are about neutral to good. Detailed assessments, close to the price we usually pay for, but it will provide a large supply that we need. Oh, that's for helicopters. What about once off? So sale. So the 2 sale contracts that we got, one of them was bad and the other one was eh. So with the cereals contract, okay, I thought it got canceled. Sale price is close to our usual rates. So sales price is close to our usual rates. So we have a neutral smiley here. We have this contract guarantees the sale of a large portion of our production at a green smiley face. We have the revenue represented by this contract is insignificant compared to our global economic activity. So we have a moderately, I would say, that's like second to worst smiley face. Manufacturing this product is profitable enough that exporting it will not destabilize our economy, which is neutral. And then this contract will only create a few jobs. So that is a slightly bad smiley face. I'll go ahead and try to negotiate another coal contract with them and maybe a steel contract? Because a steel contract could actually encourage our production because, yeah, we're selling a huge amount of our annual volume, but we are going to be able to revitalize that, and we are giving subsidies to the steel sector so that way they can encourage more production. Let's do, I'm going to do 5 million because they don't. Oh, that's why I was reading it wrong. Maximum production. See, I'm still getting used to this, so it looks like the United States is good on coal. That's why they were refusing it. Aeronautical, maximum production. We're actually already producing our capacity here. So we have 3 planes that we are producing a year, and we are consuming 54. So we definitely do need to start encouraging our aviation industry to get better profits and sales. We are also going to be encouraging our air transportation sector. This is going to be our airline sector. We're going to exonerate it of all taxes. These are going to be corporate taxes and professional taxes and social contributions to help sectors experiencing financial difficulties. Go ahead and exonerate them and provide them a $200 million subsidy. And because we're giving them $200 million, I'm going to go over to industry. We're going to go over to aeronautical industry, and we're going to go ahead and provide them a $500 million subsidy, a huge subsidy to the airline industry that we want to develop and also increase our tourism. So I'm very excited for the 2025 edition because it is going to be a huge update for our tourism sector. We can finally start increasing our investment into tourism. So I'm very excited to see what we can do with that in the upcoming edition. No release date as of yet, but I know you guys are pretty excited for it. I'm going to go ahead and go forward a little bit to the next quarter, and we're going to see what our debt reimbursement was and where we're going to go from here. All right, and before we go, I am going to go ahead and focus on how we're going to be paying for some of these things that we're doing, especially the military buildup. We're going to go ahead and increase our real estate tax once more, so we're going to go to $12.50. That'll net us about $10 billion, so that is going to be how we will pay for that. We will also increase the wealth tax. We're not going to go too crazy on the real estate tax. I'm going to say maybe $25 is going to be our max there, because that's per square foot is going to be the tax. So that is a huge tax that we would be levying against our own people. And what I would like to get that, I guess, lower, even though we are already depending our economy on this. So we're going to have to find out how we can alleviate the people, having such a big tax burden. And I think Australia is actually one of the most taxed countries in the world. So we are going to go ahead and start taxing the rich just more here. So we're going to go ahead and put that to 0.3. Could we afford that? Yes, we can. We're going to go ahead and increase that. And then I would say that the more taxes we create, the more we could reduce. I think we could afford getting rid of the... what I really want to do, and I always want to do this in each playthrough I ever do, and I've never been able to particularly do it, getting rid of the income tax. I mean, we could go ahead and rely our country off of the VAT tax, employee social security taxes, maybe even the company tax. We could do the liquor tax, industrial pollution, carbon. We have a lot of taxes that we can try to get our country dependent on, even the highway toll tax. And I wouldn't say, in the United States, I wouldn't do this. I don't like doing a highway toll tax despite how lucrative it is. I would say that in other countries, especially large countries like Australia, I would say, could you see a highway toll tax? I mean, is there already a highway toll tax across Australia, the Anglo countries, Australia, New Zealand, UK, Canada? What is it like whenever it comes to tolls? Because in the United States, we have the interstate, which is free to use, but then we have freeways that are built by the states, or cities even, and they have toll taxes that are accompanied with it. The only one that I've ever seen, the only interstate that I've ever driven across that is taxed, which is really funny because of how expensive it is. In Kansas, as soon as you get in there, you have to take the back roads to even avoid getting taxed, because they literally, if you take any of the highways in Kansas, it's immediately getting tolled. You're immediately on tolls. President of Honduras, let's go ahead and meet with him, or with her. Not too good relations, so I'm surprised that they're actually wanting to meet with us and start some economic relationship, but I'm not going to say no to new trading partners. We are almost to the end of this episode. We are on the 20th of March, and we have the 5G revolution. Long live the king of Australia. Could we actually do that? I don't know. It is pretty nice to be back. I really do like that. I am doing content again. I know I've been pretty absent as of recent, But what do you guys think? Do you guys like some of the content that I've been making recently? What kind of stuff do you guys want to see? Some people actually don't want to see a Project Zomboid series because they say, no, you have to stick to politics. But, I mean, you know, branching out's actually pretty cool. You look, what's that? A little bit of a territorial bug there. Who should we start boosting relations with, though? I mean, we have South Africa. Maybe we could even start moving closer to Brazil. They would be a pretty comparable economy to us. I want a free trade agreement that would actually make sense. I would say a Chinese-Australian free trade agreement could make sense, but I'm not too sure. Japan is going to be there, but we would have to manipulate their elections or just at some point get better relations with them. So I think a Japan-Australia free trade agreement is going to be in the works, but it's probably going to take me about 2 years to get it done. And Honduras, they want to sell me some carbohydrates, and they have 140,000 tons that they want to sell me, and I consume. Are they wanting to buy or wanting to sell? Sell price? Yeah, they're wanting to buy it. Now we're good here. Thank you. But we're going to try to increase our relations, propose an immigration agreement, actually. Let's do the importation of workers and ask for 500. Let's do $600 million and ask them to send their workers over to Australia. Meeting, tax on large fortunes, and then we are now at the end of the month, and we're at the end of the quarter. So, like I said, this is going to be a test episode just to see what the reception to the Australia series is like. If it doesn't perform as well, I mean, we could go to a different series. Agreement negotiation with the immigration agreement, 700. Now let's do $1 billion. Let's do $1 billion. Kind of just do a little bit more. Do that and give it a flat $1 billion. We're going to go to the acceptance of that. Production insufficient. Already building some facilities to build more capacity here. And what is our energy? We're not running a deficit as of yet, but we need to start increasing our import-export balance or getting our production higher. But we do have 150 terawatts that is on the way soon. Honduras accepted our immigration agreement, and let's look at what our debt is doing. $205 million cash surplus and accumulation of this in the Treasury Reserve. And we can use that to finance infrastructure and construction, repurchasing of loans, reducing our debt, and especially the longest term and highest rate loans, or to cover quarterly debts created by a budgetary deficit. And the reserve will be paid back at an interest rate of 4.35%. For reference, we have posted the amount of this Treasury Reserve on the budget and debt window. But other than that, I have been recording for about an hour now. This is going to be a little bit shorter than an hour, but I'm really glad to finally be back making series on Geopolitical Simulator 5. I also would recommend going to look at Mindscape Gaming's channel. He does have a new series as North Korea. Quick shout out to him. But other than that, guys, leave a like, subscribe to the channel if you are new. If you guys want to see more content like this, hit that bell notification icon so you don't miss anything whenever I do make it. I will try to make some content at least once a week or bi-weekly. I do have a new video at the recording of this video. This was on 7/21 of 2025 whenever I recorded this. I might well have another video coming out soon, probably the next day or two, about the new features of Geopolitical Simulator 5 in the 2025 edition. Some features that I think are going to be very interesting. I don't even know what they are yet, but I'm very excited for these features, and I think this 2025 edition is going to be a pretty nice edition. They're actually doing a lot of big features in this upcoming edition, and I cannot wait to see some screenshots whenever I get my hands on them. But other than that, guys, leave a like, subscribe to the channel if you are new. If you guys want to see the continuation of the Australia series, let me know down in the comments below what you guys want to see, where you guys want me to go as Australia. Maybe we can annex a country or two with the new feature in the last edition, basically where I can annex countries peacefully. But other than that, leave a like, subscribe to the channel if you are new, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Thank you guys so much for watching this with me, and take care.